All right, we've been freezer diving.
We have.
And we found lots of good stuff in there. What did we find?
Flank steak.
And we had a big bunch of broccoli.
Yes, we did.
Oh, let's think. Beef and broccoli.
And I got rice.
And we got rice.
That'd be perfect.
What are you going to do? Who are you going to call? This was so good that we had this last night.
We did.
You can make a dish like this in your own home and it's going to be as good as anything you can get in the restaurant.
And you did it so quick. I was starving within an hour.
It is quick.
Food.
It's really quick. We're going to do a quick marinade. We're going to set this aside. Then you're going to do your red bud jelly. Now, something we keep around here is we keep hoisin sauce, oyster sauce.
Yes.
We also have some Bangkok peanut sauce, which has got a great, great flavor and a little bit of heat, some ginger. We keep fish sauce. Now, this sounds strange, but man, these flavors are so subtle and so wonderful in certain things. That's some things that we keep around here. Obviously, soy sauce and some dry sherry, some things like that. Sesame oil is a necessity.
Oh, it smells so delicious.
You smell it right now.
Yeah, I smell it.
So I'm going to make a quick marinade and let that set for about a half hour while she makes her red bud jelly, which is really pretty much the same thing as the dandelion jelly and the violet jelly, but each one has their own particular taste. It's very subtle. The dandelion jelly is very honey-ish.
It is.
That's good.
It is.
We could actually put some of that in place of honey in this recipe.
You could.
But what we're going to do is we're going to take our flank steak. We're going to cut thin slices against the grain. Now, we had this last night, and it was very tender. It's a good cut.
Delicious.
So I'm just going to cut this like so, and then I'm going to cut these up into smaller pieces. But again, flank steak against the grain. Because you think the grain is going this way, so you don't want to work against that. You've already got this wonderful meat.
They're doing perfect.
Oh, it's perfect. And there's what we have. Then I'm just going to cut these pieces into, you think about a bite-sized piece, what you want. All right, you could use beef tips, but flank steak, to me, works really good for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my meat, I'm just going to pop it in this bowl, and I'm not measuring this, but I'm guessing as far as ingredients. I'm going to start with my oyster sauce, at least 3 tablespoons, and let's come back with some soy for our salt. I'd say at least a tablespoon and a half of that. A little bit sesame oil, just a little bit of honey, sweet.
Like honey.
Just a little bit of dry sherry, a little bit, just for that bite.
That smells good already, just what you're doing.
Now I'm going to mix this up real good. And there's so many ways you could do this. You could start with your broccoli and set it aside. There's so many ways of thinking about this. Then we'll put my cornstarch in. Okay, that's probably, I don't know, I didn't use a whole tablespoon, a little over half a tablespoon. Let that get all nice and coin it in there and set that aside, and you're going to make your red bud jelly.
Yeah.
Again, one of our seasonal jellies. They don't last forever. In fact, we sit down and have them with a snack. Sometimes she'll take some cream cheese and pretzels. Oh,
you do that tonight.
My. All right, let's set this out of the way. Sometimes you get something that kind of wakes you up.
Right.
A couple weeks ago, a lady posted something, and we had this on last week's show. She said, hey, not everybody has been cooking their whole life. She said, I wasn't raised in the Walton's house.
That's right.
And it really stuck home. A lot of the stuff that we do that we think is so simple that we gloss over, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to show you some sides. If you already know how to do it, that's great. But a lot of people out there are telling us, show some simple stuff on the side. So we're gonna do that as well. Now, as this warms up, we're going to take a walk in the woods real quick, identify some plants. Some of them edible, but some of them are just spring plants that you might walk by and say, hey, I know what that is, or do I? So we're going to identify some plants on this week's Naturalist Notebook. So when you walk through the woods, you look down, you look around, and you see a plant. A lot of times you don't really pay that much attention to it. But today, let's look at some things that you might have seen and you might recognize. So I think one of the most beautiful plants we see this time of year is trillium. Now, a lot of people call this toad shade, but this is just the local trillium that we have here growing in our woods. It's got a dark flower on it, and it doesn't smell real good. The next thing I came upon was some wild phlox. Pretty little flower you see growing around the woods on occasion. And the next very distinctive plant is a cutleaf toothwort. And if you ever get into these, you'll know it really quick. This is saw greenbrier. And if you get into these thorns, you're not gonna like it. And here's what Nikki picked for one of her jellies, which is a common blue violet. They're just about everywhere. And a lot of times we identify these as onions. People will call them onion grass, all kinds of stuff, but it's really a wild garlic. And it's a species of onion. And it looks just like what you grow in a garden. And you can use it for an edible plant. Here is some garlic mustard. This is an edible plant. You can eat garlic mustard. You can use the leaves. They're good for you, full of vitamins. Now, in my woods, I saw a bunch of these. For those in Ohio, this is a buckeye tree. And we actually found a yellow violet up in the woods as well. Here's a picture of that. Here's an invasive species called thistle. This looks like what they call bull thistle, and we have quite a bit of that around here. This is your common blackberry. We have these everywhere. This fall, hopefully, we will gather some of those up and make some jelly. This is a May apple. A lot of times you'll see big stands of these. Every part of this is poisonous, so do not attempt to eat any part of this. Now, when the plant comes out with this little fruit, only when it's really, really ripe is it edible. But I kind of stay away from those. That's a May apple. And that was our little walk in the woods for this week's Naturalist Notebook. All right, we're back. We got boiling water. What happens next, Miss Nikki?
This is just exactly like the dandelion jelly, except we're using red buds. And I like this one better because red buds are easier to pick, and I didn't have to cut them.
Now look at the violet. And you know, it depends on, you know, we got more purplish violets. Some of them are more blue, but that's almost the same
violet
color.
jelly.
And here's the dandelion, which, oh, yum. And here's the red bud. And each one of them has their own subtle flavor.
They do. All right, we're going to start with 2 cups of water, bring it to boil. We're going to put in 1 cup of whatever you're using, red buds. If we were doing violets, it would be violets, exact same, but we're doing red buds. We're going to pour that in and let that boil for 3 minutes. Once it's boiled for 3 minutes, we're going to drain it just like we did the dandelions and squeeze down and get
strain it.
Yeah, strain it down and get 3/4 of a cup of juice. We're going to take that, put it back in the pan. We're going to add 3 teaspoons of the Sure Gel to it, about a tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit in here, and then we're going to put in a little bit of the vanilla. We just kind of shake in a couple shots of that. Get that boiling. Once it's boiling, we're going to add our 1.5 cups of sugar. Boil 3 minutes, and we got jelly again.
That's pretty simple. It's really simple.
You know what it tastes like? Kelly just said cotton candy. It has a cotton candy taste almost.
It's really good.
Yes, it is. So this will make us 4 little jars.
Somebody asked last week, if you only have 3/4 of a cup of liquid, how in the world do you come up with 16 ounces? Well, the main ingredient in this really healthy deal is sugar.
1.5 cups sugar added to that.
Don't forget the sugar and a little bit of pectin. And there we have it.
It's that simple.
Now it's going to set up. We're going to pop it in the refrigerator, and then we're going to enjoy some in just a little while. All right, so I'm going to cut up just a little bit of ginger here. We're going to take a little bit of oil, not a lot. When this gets nice and hot, we're going to take 2 cloves of garlic, and we're going to pop in this oil, and we're just going to get that flavor in there. Then we're going to pull that garlic out. We're going to throw it away. So we're going to pop our ginger in here.
That smells good.
But we're not pulling the ginger out. The ginger stays. So now, Mrs. Farmer, in comes the beef. Now, what am I going to do?
Make it hot.
Just a little bit of red pepper flakes, just to have that nice.
You like your red pepper flakes.
Oh man, you do too.
I do.
You just don't like
as many as you do. I don't like as many as you.
Just a little more oyster sauce.
That stuff's good.
Just a little bit. And a little more sesame oil.
I like sesame oil. You can add all that. Got a great smell.
Look at that. Look how
crisping up.
Oh, are you kidding me? You know what, Mrs. Farmer?
What?
Keep an eye on that for a minute.
I will do it.
I gotta get my broccoli ready. And I'm gonna need some red pepper. We're gonna just put just a little bit of onion in this.
That sounds
This
good.
is a yellow sweet onion. So look what we got here. Look how that looks.
Oh, it's delicious.
Beautiful. Got just a little bit of pink left in there, but look how it's browned on the outside.
That's nice.
Oh my! See what we got going?
I like
Isn't that
it.
beautiful.
Very beautiful.
So what's next, Mrs. Farmer?
Peppers,
Peppers,
broccoli, some onions.
couple onions. I'm just gonna mix that all up. Try to get our broccoli cooked in there. And boom, there you go. We had beef, we had broccoli, but since we had all those other sauces that we always keep around
Oh
here,
yeah, that's delicious.
look what we can make in, what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, that was quick.
It's up to you, Mrs. Farmer.
I get to try some? Mm-hmm. Put a little meat with some rice.
That's a beautiful one-pot dish. Boom. It's good.
Very good.
That makes me happy.
Very delicious.
That's really good. We got a little heat.
That's really good. Delicious, as always.